Welcome to the Akili podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Akili podcast, brought to you by Wamboi Kenywa. And we're trying to get us into a rhythm, right? We want to get us into a wavelength of sorts, a level of consciousness. And the main purpose of today actually is to get to know someone I really admire. And she comes from a time of my life where I had where I lived the best form of my life I could ever imagine. And at that time, it was in 2014, 2015. And I worked with an organization that used to work around East Africa. It was called Santuri East Africa. So we used to work from her office, actually, and that's how I met her. We played a lot of music, and she was in charge of a festival called Sondeka Festival. I think that was the best time of my life because we just used to go out, have a great time recording and performing music. So I was mostly inside the office, of course, working on the paperwork, making sure that everything is getting done, right? And so I got to observe her from a distance. I didn't work with her directly, but I observed her from a distance, and I was able to see that she knows what's up. Most of us, we mostly don't know, actually. And even the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. But she knows what's up with herself, because the main purpose of this podcast is make us understand that we are versions of God, and we are the ones who need to know what we need the most, right? We have to get to a point of unlearning the things that we've learned, that we need other people, that we need other things or other philosophies to guide us or who we are. And I thought she was really in touch with who she is. And that's why she's here. She's actually my mentor. She's called the Chief Mechanic. I think this is one of the most iconic names that I know. I don't know how she came up with the name, but maybe she'll get to tell us a bit of that in this podcast. So, Chief Mechanic, please introduce yourself.
Oh, wow. I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, who are you talking about? Hi, so I'm Liz Kilili, the founder of Creatives Garage. Many people know me as a chief mechanic, especially in the creative circles. I think most of what you said is true, other than the fact that I know everything, because I know nothing. And every day when I wake up, I know that I know nothing, but I still strive to be able to know something. When I was younger, I used to think that I knew a lot, But what life has taught me over the years is I really don't know anything, And there's no right way of doing things. And I think I live my life now as one big experimental thing. And that's how I just live my life. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, who can I be today? What can I do today? What new thing can I learn today? And I think I have failed in many ways, but I think also walking around with that kind of mentality, I have also won in many ways. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I would love to first of all demystify the person, right? I just want to understand, how did you get to be called the chief mechanic? Was it someone who called you the chief mechanic and the name stuck? Or is it you who decided that you were going to be the chief mechanic?
Wow. Actually, and it's very interesting. how I choose names of whatever, from Sondeka Festival to Creatives Garage to whatever. Like, people always ask me, so did you sit down? Did you have a conference with yourself? Did you whatever? And I'm like, no, imagine no. Sometimes I just sleep and I wake up and I feel so strongly towards a name. Yeah, so like actually most of the names that I've named things just come. So there's no special thing that I did or whatever to be able to get the name. So when I say Creatives Garage, I have no idea where that name came from, but I just felt like I needed a space where people come and they create stuff and they work on themselves and their art and and they just produce stuff, and I think that's how that whole thought came about. So when we finally came up with the name, I finally came up with the name Creatives Garage. Then I didn't want to be called director or CEO or whatever. So I was looking for interesting ways of how to call ourselves. And I mean, if you work in a garage, then you're a mechanic, And so even the initial people who used to work within the space, like all their titles had something mechanic. And so that's how I ended up being called the chief mechanic.
Wow.
Yes.
I think it was the most suited name for the most suited person, because I even met the first group, because I think the fact that the Creatives Garage has been in existence for a long time, there's so many people who have come and gone. You have seen come and go. And I think I interacted with one of the first teams that ever worked for the Creatives Garage. And I did meet the earliest mechanics that ever existed.
Yeah.
And I will just also want to just really feel how you came to understand, because I think a lot of people will always think that there's something special about you and that's why you're here. There's something special about these people who are amazing in their own way, right? So I want to just understand, like, we want to get into your brain a little bit, because this is a very philosophical show and it's just about how we got to where we are. And I don't know, like, when you're in campus, is it something that you envisioned when you're in campus, or your first work experience? Or how is it that you decided to have a space for creatives or creators, other versions of God, other gods to come and create their things?
Yeah.
Did you?
That's an interesting question. I don't think that there's... For very long, I didn't think there's anything special with me, until I realized that there's something special in everyone, So it's not that it is tied to me and me being special and me being whatever, like everyone has something that they bring to the table. I mean, we are here with the producer. I mean, I can't do what he does. Yeah, I think he has patience of looking at waves and stuff that I don't have, So that's not me. But that what is special about him, he's able to do that. What is special about you is that you're able to start conversations. It's that you're able to think about things in how to address mental challenges that, for example, creatives have. Like, that is you. That is the special thing in you, and that's the drive that you have. So just to say that I think that we are all special in whatever way we are. But to answer your question about how Creatives Garage came about, Adam Kiboy always laughs at this story, always, and he uses it to whatever. So if Adam Kiboy is listening to this, you had better not share the whole story of what this thing is. But anyway,
so there's a secret within the secret.
Yes, that Adam Kiboy just laughs about all the time. But anyway, so I was to go to campus in the UK, and I mean, gotten.
This is in what year?
Wow. Now why are you telling people my age? I see.
We're curious.
This was in 2001, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, 2001. And I was supposed to go to the UK. I mean, we had gotten the university, we'd gotten literally everything. So what, the only thing that was left was me going to get a visa, yeah? And so my mom bundled me in the car. She had prepped me. She was like, yes, if they ask you this question, you answer like this, you see it properly, you know, like everything. So we got to the place and and we got out of the car and we were walking towards the door. And when we got to the door, I told my mom, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to get in. I'm not going to go look for a visa. I'm not going to do this. Yeah. And my mom has never forgiven me for that. Like, every so often, she will drop it in a conversation. She'll be like, yeah, and by the way, where are the tomatoes? Yeah, and then the day you refuse to go to the UK, you know, like it's always, yeah, so she always just brings it up. And
never let it rest.
Exactly, yeah, and it's so many years later. And the thing is, most of my family is in the UK. So for her, it was like, yeah, this is my last child. She's going to go to the UK. Then I'm going to go to the UK. And my whole family will live in the UK and we'll have many kids. And yeah, and that will be a happily ever after story. Yes. Yeah. So I got to the door and I told my mom, you know what, I am not going to do this, you know. And my mom was so pissed. I was so pissed. And I was like, imagine, I'm not going to be able to do this. So we got back into the car. I think she didn't talk to me for a while. And and then she was like, so what are you going to do with your life? I'm like, yeah, I'll just stay here and I don't know, I'll just be whoever. But I always loved the media. I mean, even in primary school, I always loved being in the media. And so my mom was like, okay, fine, you're going to go to film school. But then at the time, I mean, there were no universities that were doing anything film. It was still a bit too foreign a thing, a concept. So she just got me into some college. And then also at that time, she was like, I don't know, she had this fascination of, I will get pregnant, I will do what. So she was just constantly taking me for courses. I went to do for catering, I went for what, as in I was constantly just being taken to things. So anyway, finally I got into film school. So after that, she was like, okay, what are you going to do with your life? I think I got into KTN for a bit. I hated my experience there. And then also at the time, so I mean, I quit again. My mom was like, oh my God, what is this child? This is just a problem child, you know. So, so she was like, okay, what are you going to do with your life? So she was like, anyway, the money I would have taken you to the UK. I'm going to buy you a camera. And that's it. Me and you, over. After I buy you this camera, I was like, fine, just buy me the camera. I mean, and at the time, we didn't have even HD, man. We were shooting on VHS, and high 8, I think, was the thing.
On the very big mem sticks. Yeah,
so, not mem stick, tapes, man. Tapes.
Oh
tapes. So she got me the camera. And then I was like, now, I mean, I was naive and young, and I was like, now I'm going to shoot films, I'm going to shoot things, I'm just gonna take things to the TV station, they're gonna buy my content, I'm gonna be whatever. And then you start shooting pilot shows, and they're like, dumb it down, it's not ready for the market, or they don't pay you for the stuff, or if you get a bad OG, he just throws your CD, your VCD in a pile in a box. Just throw it there, and and they'll just throw your dreams. So so it was quite frustrating. And then on this other hand, my mom is constantly saying, you see, if you went to the UK, you'd have been working now, you'd have been, so there's always that whatever. So I mean, so most of the things we could do at the time was either shoot weddings or shoot funerals. Or, so, I mean, like, I think in my lifetime, I shot 200 weddings. And also at the time...
What?
Yes. And I think also at the time, women weren't really shooting. Women were the
Yeah.
editors, women were the whatever. So you'd go to like a wedding. First of all, the committee says, we will get a videographer, we will put them on a pickup, and then they will take the shots with the whatever, So you're this woman on a pickup. It's moving. You can't even shikilia yourself properly. It's whatever. Like it was a whole spectacle. You're in charge, you're shooting, and everyone is, instead, people are looking at you like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? Like,
You're a woman.
You're a woman. So it was quite frustrating, and every day I used to die in me. I just used to die, and I'm like, this can't be life. I did a couple of shows, maybe 2 or 3 shows, and I'd edit them and direct them and whatever. But like that revenue stream wasn't as consistent as the weddings. So anyway, it got to a point one day. I'm just sitting in my house, and I'm like, I'm just like, this can't be my life. And I think I was editing something, I don't even know, and it was like 2 a.m. And I was like, the major issue that I'm having as a creative is I don't know actors, I don't know musicians, I don't know sound producers, and I don't know where to get them, So even if I was to do a film, like, 1, I can't afford guys. 2, I don't even know where to get the guys. So I was like, why don't I start a networking platform for creatives and just, and so it started from a place of personal interest of saying, what, I need to meet sound producers, I need to meet whatever. And so I did an event. 40 people came to the event, and people were just showcasing their portfolios. So they're saying, this is me, this is what I do, this is whatever. I was like, oh, cool, nice. So after the event, I was like, wow, okay. So in my bag of tricks, I can also bring 40 people together. So, then the people who came started asking, so when is the next event? When is the next whatever? Like, I had no plans. Then this guy, Utica, sends me a letter. He's like, I'm looking for internship. Do you have any opportunities? I'm like, gosh, I'm not even a fig. Are you asking me for internship? So anyway, so I was like, you know what? Yes, actually, yeah. And my office at the time, I had like a small office somewhere, and it was probably the size of this place. So it was quite small for the listeners. It was quite small. So we even used to joke that if you want to get in, like, people have to come out for you to get in. And so like it was like a whole math-3 thing. God. So I was like, you know what? I can fit another table here. So I told him, it's fine. Do you want to come? He's like, yeah, fine. I was like, okay, but I have no work for you. But anyway, there's this thing that people asking me to keep doing. So
maybe you can continue.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, fine. So we did another event and another one and another one, and we just started growing the creative community. So what Creatives Garage started as was just a networking platform where creatives could meet and share knowledge, peer-to-peer knowledge sharing, and and eventually, hopefully, collaborate and do things. And that's how that was the whole story of how Creatives Garage started. And every day we just metamorph into something new.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I am so shocked. I have actually known you for a very long time, but I don't think I know you yet. So every day I'm getting to know new things, new old things about you.
New old things.
Because we've had a whole life process of how the conceptualization of Creatives Garage came about. And out of that, actually, as you listeners were just listening, I was actually taking notes. Because I'm like, oh my God. You always think that you know something, and then you put all your effort and energy, channel it. You're like, this is it.
Yeah.
So you get there, you start doing the work, but then it changes.
Yeah.
You get to a block. You understand that something else has to come in, or some new information or some new wisdom has to come in for me to understand where I'm going to go next.
Yeah.
So this is the wave, right? Everyone is usually in their own wave. And it's unfortunate that there's a lot of people who are still riding in other people's waves. you guys, I am so sorry, but wherever you are, you have to create the heaven for yourself and understand that even you yourself can create your own wave. You are your own God. You are your own advisor. You have to understand that this lady over here started from, oh my God, shooting weddings. I would have actually laughed a little bit if it was in 201.
And funerals when I'm really broke.
When I'm seeing a mommy shooting, at that time we were like thinking that women only deserves to be in the kitchen or do office secretarial jobs. Actually, most women were nurses. That's actually the people around that time. Most people became nurses, or they became secretaries, or they were doing planning inside an office.
Yeah.
No one will dare to go out with a camera and run around, because I remember even in my village, all the photographers and cameramen were all men.
Yes.
And the things they used to do, unakumbuka zile, they squat down to take a picture of you. And then you have to chase this guy for a whole 2 weeks. He's still telling you, bado sijaenda kwa studio, bado sijaenda kwa studio. Yani,
I'ma film my jaja.
Wow, oh my gosh. Lazima ungoje film ijae ndio niende nika process. It was a whole situation, and I'm telling you, no one in my village personally was a woman. So I'm telling you, congrats for being so daring, right? Out of that, I also got the fact, the element of family. And this is an element that actually challenges all of us, because there's already a concept, a reality, a consciousness that comes with family. There's a way you identify yourself. Who are you? My name is Liz Wa, someone else. Yeah. So your mother, your father, they already put in a system of thinking. Yeah. There's a way that you have to think, because this is how I have taught you how to think. And let me tell you, it's crazy that your mom still brings it up, because right now she should have already like gotten over it and be like, yo, what? Yeah. You are able to do all these things. But anywho, I understand, because I am always also in the same step as you are. Because sometimes my mom will be like, see, I already told you, ungekuwa umeshapata kazi ya 200,000, mbona una struggle na hii kidogo unapata? Why are you sacrificing your time for something that's not paying you, you know? And I am so sorry to say that your mother is going to be your mother until you die. Yeah. So each time you face a block, she'll feel like, yes, this is the time now to bring back the old demons. Like, because, you know, those things are things that have haunted us. If there are parents who are listening to this podcast, actually, I would like to speak directly to them. Please, take it easy on us. For I think at your time, when our parents were younger, at their time, it was easier for them. It was easier for them to cope, because the direction was one. Like, it was very unidirectional. The minute your parents put you in school, they put you into high school. If you're able to access university, you get into university and you become, the secretary of the DO. And you'll be able to sustain your lives, and you'll be able to buy a car. You'll be able to do everything that you need to do for your survival. But look at us now. There's millions of things that people are doing. There's millions of, like, the universe of information is at our fingertips. Yeah. And at times, we are struggling so much because of the fact that our parents are not believing in us. Or we are not believing in us, because we don't know how to believe in ourselves. Because you are told, no, usiongee hivyo, usifanye hivi. Yeah. Like, there's a way that our parents kind of traumatized us into how we think. Yeah. And you parents are the ones who have to help us cut these cords. Yeah. You have to help us realize the ability that we have, being the chief mechanics of our lives. Yes. Like, for sure, the chief mechanic is also a god, is a creator. She's creating things. And us guys are also doing the same things as she is doing. I think she was just shy of calling herself God. But honestly, you are able to get to places us guys would not have imagined to get into.
No, but it's interesting, this thing you keep saying about God. I think that we are versions of God, you know.
We are.
Yeah, I mean, we are told that we are made in the likeness of God. And I think that what we all have a purpose, and our purpose is, even if we are in the likeness of God, is to create. This is not to say that doctors don't create. This is to say that whatever, like everyone has a purpose here, and that's what we should be fulfilling in whichever possible way that we are able to achieve. Yeah.
So for everyone who is a Christian out there, just understand that we are not trying to say that there's no other God. Just understand that you have to own your responsibility. God has placed you here with a responsibility to be able to carry on creation. There's no physical, universal God that we are seeing every day. It's usually us. The devil is us. Because I think a lot of people will also take that as an advantage of us, of us to remove responsibility from our actions. And people will say, oh my God, ni shetani. But you have to understand one thing. The devil is us. Just say, ni mimi. It's me. It's my problem.
Yeah.
And the more you escape every day, the more you'll not be able to own your creation, own your space, own your time. So the other thing,
and now you can send your tithes and offerings.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually I've been called a preacher by a lot of people, and I do think that it's just about time that I speak on a bigger scale, because my friends are always telling me, because my one platform I usually use has been WhatsApp status. And all of my friends are always like, oh boy, when are we hearing this on a bigger scale? We want to see you. We want to hear you speak.
Yeah.
Right? Because they think I have interesting things to say. So the other thing I took a note of was actually learning and unlearning.
Yes.
Like each time she thought she had gotten somewhere, she had to understand, lazima ni delete. I have to delete some other things for other things to continue.
Yeah.
So she was at a point where she got into school, she was able to get her education, and then she got into employment, and she was like, oh my God, this is not working for me.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many people who can relate to what I'm saying, who are in formal education and have been stuck there. Someone is just always barking orders at you, and they don't really appreciate who you are. I'm not even saying that you should quit, but you have to understand how to create your small safe space, your safe haven. You can't suffer every day. Let's not normalize it's okay not to be okay every day.
Yeah.
We have to understand that every day you have to learn how to get better, get okay. And how you're going to get there is definitely by sharing what you think is ailing you. We have to have more self-esteem. I don't know how to give you. It's not a piece of medicine that I can give you and tell you, take this 3 times a day and you'll have self-esteem. No. This is the thing that we are trying to cultivate. It's a mindset of self-love. You have to understand that the more you share information out, the more it loses power over you, because that's the biggest problem. There's so much information that we have hidden inside our brains that is killing us slowly every day. Right? So another thing that I have gotten was actually the change of goalposts. And there's something that I actually said the other day that people were like, what, Wamboy, I have to screenshot this, right? So this is what I said on my status, right? Life loses meaning the minute it does not have purpose. Invest more time into finding your purpose. Everyone has a purpose to fulfill. And once you fulfill your purpose, find another one. Like, you have to understand, it's not that thing that you think you know right now that you're doing that is going to fulfill you for the rest of your life. Every day you're going to have to understand, every day there's a new thing that's coming. That she said, the chief mechanic has just told us that every day she's called her life an experiment. That every day Creative's Garage metamorphosizes, changes structure, changes form, changes people, changes ideas, changes concepts.
Yeah.
The things that they were doing when I was meeting them in 2015 is not what they are doing now.
That's true.
some things have stuck, some things have fallen apart, and there's new things that we are doing together right now.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll tell you one thing that we are trying to work on, and maybe this will help people understand the gravity of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
We're building an app. Mental health and wellness app. We need all of us to get better. Every day we are hearing the news, and it's actually crazy that she's here with me because every day I'm also speaking to her privately, and I think she's also such aloof. I think that's the best part about the chief mechanic, actually interacting with her. And I'm first of all going to get back to you, right? I'm done preaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you about your personal life,
Mm-hmm.
and especially about how I know there's a little Miss Sunshine somewhere.
There's not so little anymore.
Oh my God, I can imagine. I have actually seen her only in pictures at the moment. I've not seen her in so long.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about how your personal life affected the things you're going through now in your business and career life.
Oh wow.
Or
That's-
how the business life affected the things that were going on in your family life.
Wow, that's a heavy question. That's a heavy question that has like different vantage points to how I can address it. Yes, so I have a daughter. She talks a mile a minute. She asks me really hard questions. Like the other day, she asked me a very interesting question. The question she asked me, and I had no answer. And anyway, she also tells people I know nothing. So, so maybe. So her question was, if I have my sibling,
Yeah.
who identifies as non-binary. This is a 10-year-old who asked me this question. If I have a sibling who identifies as non-binary, would that be her auntie or uncle? I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what. Like I'd never thought about it in that aspect, like when you talk about non-binary and whatever, like we never think about that this is someone's, there's a little child who looks up to this person and what this person would call them. And I was like, I genuinely have no idea to that, but it's interesting the kind of questions that she asks me, because sometimes, I mean, as I said, even when I was younger, I was always coming from a place of, I know things, I know, and what life has taught me all these years is I actually know nothing, and I try to learn as much as I can, and I try to do things in different ways every day, looking for the right way, essentially, of doing things. So what this journey of because I feel like this Creatives Garage journey for me has been a thing for self-actualization and getting to know who I am, and it has shaken my beliefs tremendously as I've moved along, realizing that it's shaken me from every aspect, realizing that how I led my life maybe in my early 20s and my teens, and the things that I fundamentally thought as the truth are not really the truth, because there are different ways of looking at things. So that has shaken me a lot. And in terms of how it has affected my personal life, in negative ways and also in good ways. For example, like just being able to do what I do with Creatives Garage, there's like high expectations. There's a lot of deadlines we have to meet. There are many people I have to talk to. There are many people I have to rely on to be able to do my work and do it efficiently. Also, at the same time, I have been able to, or I try to help other creatives who come behind me, and by interacting with all these people, it just changes my perceptions every single day. Like when I first met you, I mean, you said you're working from my office. I mean, yeah, you are a lifeist, like in my head. You're like a lifeist, you're always at parties, you're always whatever. As in, one boy knows all the artists, one boy knows all the songs, one boy, you know, like that is the perception I had of you. Yeah, but over the years, I mean, like, I think at a point, we weren't very close. At a point, I mean, you're doing your life, I was doing my life. At a point, you disappeared, I disappeared. I mean, I was having mental health issues. I believe you've also gone through that, and yeah, and then our paths met again, and now part of my unlearning and learning again is knowing that yes, Wambui has fun. Wambui knows all the artists. Wambui knows, like, if I want an artist, I'll just call Wambui and I'm like, yeah, by the way, I'm looking for an artist who looks like this, does this. Can you help me? And you know, I'm sure you'd come through. Yeah, and from, I mean, the ideas and perception of you of saying, Uyo too, she just has, you know, she just has parties and whatever. What that in tandem did for you was you got to know more people, you got to interact with more people, you got to build your networks, you got to see life from different perspectives, you know, and the beauty about that is it's your experience, and it is what you also bring to the table, you know. It's something. Then me, I was always locked in the office. I was trying to make, you know, deadlines, talk to donors and whatever, and you know, and so what you grew was family in people, you know. Yeah. And maybe what I grew, I think I also grew people, but also I yeah, it just in different ways. Yeah. So going back again to what you're saying about family, like that has also changed. Like people I considered family when I started out, I don't necessarily think of them as family anymore, you know. And it's also just with the journey of meeting new people, of interacting with people, of seeing new ideas, seeing the world in a creative's perspective. I think that changes all of us, and I think that's the power of being a creative, but it's also the curse of being a creative, is that you see life in a different perspective that people don't really see. And when people don't get to understand who you are or how you see the world, then it becomes hard to keep interacting with these people. Yeah.
Wow. I think you have a bit of you have a big computer inside your brain, because I don't think I can be able to follow through with a train of thought without constantly looking at my notebook. You guys, she's just sitting here like a boss, and she's just spitting out the things that she's saying and remembering everything that I have told her to speak about, which I think is amazing. So, and I love how you've put it, though I was just blushing the whole time. I was just like, oh my God, please, it's not about me. It's not about me. But I'm so grateful that you have a systemic way of responding to questions. You know, there's a thing about that, because this is part of your philosophy. And I was trying to explain to her earlier, guys, that this is actually more of a philosophical podcast. It's about how you think. It's about how you get to a point. It's about how you get to that point and understand to get to another one. Because so many people follow so many different things. And I think the least I could do is to share with you the people who are in my family, the people who, as she said, are in my community. Because I think I can confidently pride myself in knowing the best people I have ever met at the moment. Because this has been a gradual process of life, that I was able to disconnect with the people who were not necessarily helping me build, or I was not necessarily being helpful to them. I've been able to disconnect with those people and able to maintain relationships with people who I thought are of value till today, that are people who are still informing my realities of sorts. Because, you know, there's a way that birds of the same feathers flock together. And for me, I am always trying to attract that with the people I hang around. It's about disengaging with anyone I feel is maybe pushing someone down, or is happy when other people are down, or they don't know who they are, or they don't know how to get the joy from within, or there's so many things that happen inside my head that when I am actually interacting with people. And honestly, I do think that it's my superpower. Because I think we were lied to a little bit when we were in primary school, because we were told that the only talent you can have is running, painting, sijui. There's so many things we were told that can be your talent, but they never at all mentioned talking. And I was like, "Sasa kwa hivyo mimi I'm not talented."
Nilikuwa kwa noisemaker kila siku.
Because me, since I was in primary school, by the way, I was always making the noisemakers list. Always. And sometimes they will even just add me on the noisemakers list, even if I was not talking, because the prefect panicked and they were told, produce me names, Sahi, because I've heard you guys were making noise. So they'll just go and script. And my name will it's there. Even if I slept the whole session, it will be assumed that I was actually talking. And that is actually the thing about my family as well. It's about my family also understanding that I make a lot of noise. Like you, they had to understand that you have a crazy life. They have to understand that the chief mechanic has a lot of responsibility with a lot of people, so many people. The thing about being in a position of power, or placing yourself in a position of power, is that a lot of people will think that they deserve your time. They deserve your, like, everyone will call you, Liz, mi nataka hii na hii na hii. Liz, mbona hakuna hii kitu? Liz, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's how you get to a point of understanding that, by the way, I have a lot of responsibility with people. And I have to understand how now to channel my energy with the good people that I think we are kind of trading, because there's no way you're going to be pouring energy to one person and maybe they are not reciprocating, or at least reflecting the same energy that you're giving them. And I think that's a hard part for a lot of people. It's a hard bone to chew for a lot of people, because they're like, oh my God, I don't want to get rid of this person. I don't want this person not in my life. Or I don't want to put the effort of maybe not speaking or not engaging with this certain person. And I love how you covered family, because you covered a lot about your inside internal family and also your outside, the people who are around you. I think in around that same time, I also was able to engage with a lot of your friends. And to be honest, there are some of them who I still speak to even today. And I'm able to look at them in a way of understanding that Maze, kama chief mechanic admires this person and looks up to them, there has to be something of that person that I would want to be with me. And it has come to a point where I understood that if that person also thinks that they can give me time, because sometimes you also get into what is it called? You just look down upon yourself. It's called imposter syndrome. You feel like you're not worthy of someone's time, for example. And the minute I identify that someone like my friend McKenna, who's come with me today, can give me time, just their time. Sometimes people ignore that and they don't see it as a big thing. But the fact that the chief mechanic, has given me their time, this is a whole hour or two of their time, which they could not, they are going to lose forever. Like, they're not going to be able to relive this ever again.
But that's not how you look at it. You don't look at time as how you lose it. Yeah. But what am I gaining from this? I'm gaining friends. I mean, I met McKenna today. Hi, McKenna. Yeah. And I've been able to interact with her. I'm interacting with you now.
Yeah.
I'm learning more about you.
Yeah.
I'm picking things that you speak about that I'm able to use in my life to grow myself.
Yeah.
So it's not how you
Lose it.
because sometimes I am stuck in traffic. I'm like, oh fuck, like like I could have been doing this and this and that, and then I stop for a moment. I'm like, no, but oh wow, there's a building there. It's and you get to know, oh yeah, there's a building there. There's always a cop there. There's always whatever. So it's experience that you pick from whatever it is.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I was actually going to just say that when I see that people are sacrificing their time to speak to me, I think I value that the most, and I am able to understand that I can reciprocate to them as well, as much as they would need me. Because even for me, I've realized that the more hectic you're talking about your life, the more hectic my life is getting. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We have to understand that we have to create and curate our sanity. So you talked about also unlearning, which has been the main theme of this podcast moving. And I think I have understood from you that the biggest element of our private lives or our careers is just understanding that nothing is fixed. Nothing, no goal is fixed. No opinion should be fixed, because every day you're going to be challenged on different aspects and elements of how you think and how you implement the opinions you have. And I think actually the main reason people get depressed or have a lot of low energy to the life that they're living is because of the fact that they are fixated on opinions, on people, on things, the things that they value to be good. Before we end this podcast, I think it's a safe time to end it. I'm actually sad that I forgot to put on my timer. But I think it has been an amazing time. I'm so grateful. We've been hosted by the Creatives Garage. They have a whole studio at the Gigiri Craft Center. And apart from that, we have also been getting refreshed by tea, purple tea from Shai. It's actually my friend McKenna's brother's company. And they are selling amazing tea that's very healing to us, because mostly, apparently, I went for a tea tasting there because they open their doors to people tasting. And even here, we're going to have a tea tasting. And there's apparently, most of us, we get the tea that's usually rejected by companies. And there's actually much better tea. As in, I saw 5 or 6 different types of tea that are coming from the same plant that I have never heard of. Because there's golden tips, there's white some things, there's purple tea, there's purple orthodox, there's green orthodox. And I'm learning more about tea and also getting refreshed. And also I've learned that there's more healthier options to tea than the black tea that we're used to. So
I've really enjoyed the purple tea.
Okay. I think it's actually my favorite at the moment. And I would like to give you thanks also for sparing your time to speak with us. I think we'll have another conversation in the future because she's actually my mentor. And I'd like to end the podcast there. It's been Wambui Kinywa with Liz Kilili, the chief mechanic. And joined, of course, by our producer, and McKenna was just smiling with us the whole time over there. And we are so grateful. Have a lovely day.
Bye, guys.
You are the first guru.